Sit down if you want to.
Right in the middle of what's going on.
I'm in the middle of an interrogation.
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
The middle children of history, man.
Middle of the day, Alfred.
Please, take a seat there.
Right now, I'm in the middle of nowhere.
Stop the middle, it's a basic!
Meeting in the middle.
Like.
They fought for the freedom of Middle.
The middle of a war.
The middle of a war! This is friggin' ridiculous!
Why don't we have a seat and talk it over?
No! Not the middle seat!
Just say the magic word, and a brand new Middle Seats podcast will appear on your feed. We're the best seat in the house for all things movies and entertainment. I'm your super heroic host tonight, Mr. Androge. Let's meet my super friends. He's got super heroic abs, but the heart of a child, Mr. Nate Luncarini.
Aw, you shouldn't have.
I know.
Wait, is that a compliment?
I think it is. Yeah.
Oh, I appreciate it. Cool. Thanks.
I mean, do you want to switch? Because I'm assuming mine's worse.
Yeah, it's better than the alternative. He's just a child, Mr. Jay Kensler.
Actually, that's the most accurate one you've done in the years that we've been doing this. So right. I'll take it. Definitely true.
I know, I went for truth, justice, and the American way on this one. If you're just joining us for the first time, the Middle Seats podcast, like I said, is the best seat in the house for all things movies and entertainment. Our show is typically divided into 3 segments. We talk about a general topic that one of the crew pitches, like you're in the lobby of a movie theater, our lobby talk segment. Then we go diving into the world of news and movies and entertainment. And then we go into our feature review of the week of usually the biggest movie that we saw in recent days. This week, it is of the latest DCEU superhero film, Shazam. If you are currently watching this video on YouTube, welcome. This video will only include the lobby talk and news portions of our podcast. If you are looking for our Shazam review, you can see that in a separate video. And we want to remind you that there are time codes in the description below. So if you can't join us for the entire time, no sweat. No, we're pretty chill here on the Middle Seats. You can just join us for a certain discussion. We would love to have you no matter where you're listening. And we thank you for joining us tonight, wherever you may be. Let's move into our lobby talk segment.
Let's all go to the lobby.
You're in the lobby? What do you look like?
I will blow up the block before you can make the lobby.
We talk about a lot of movies on this show, but there is one major event not happening in theaters that is coming up on the horizon, and that is Game of Thrones Season 8. This might be the most hype television event of the decade. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong.
Maybe.
But
I would say bigger.
Right off the top of the head, yeah, I can't think of anything.
This will be television's Avengers Endgame. There's been so much buildup to this season. And for this, we just wanted to gush. Like, what do we think's going to happen? What do we hope doesn't happen? There's so much that could go on in this final season. So obviously, spoilers if you aren't caught up. I hope you are. Depending on how quickly I edit this will be out just before the first episode or just after the first episode. And there's only 6 this season, but there's still 7 seasons before that you got to catch up on. So that said, let's just jump right into it. Jake, you excited?
Duh. One of the best TV shows ever. I'm super excited about Game of Thrones coming back. What an insane month we have ahead of us between Avengers and Game of Thrones at the same time. There's going to be a lot of emotions on the big and small screen. But that being said, my goodness, I'm ready. I'm ready to be excited and cry all within 20 minutes of each other, probably.
Mm-hmm. Right. That weekend where Endgame comes out is supposed to be one of their big, long 85, 90-minute episodes.
And it's supposed to be one of the big battle ones, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Knocking out Lord of the Rings for, like, biggest battle scene ever.
Right.
Yeah.
When anytime you're compared to Helm's Deep, you're doing something right. You know what's very impressive about Game of Thrones, just thinking back and reflecting on what this series is? Think about how many of these fantasy series fail. For as many Game of Thrones, there's 20, like, Spartacus shows. And I mean, like, those shows are fine, but they don't attach themselves to the cultural zeitgeist and the masses like Game of Thrones has.
And has made itself the biggest show arguably ever.
Right. People love it because of how crazy it gets, how many characters there are, how epic it feels every week, and that alongside with the crazy twist that they've obviously shocked audiences with.
Yeah, the trauma that they put us through after killing our favorite characters.
Absolutely.
Right. People love to be surprised, and Game of Thrones consistently surprises you, and that's why we're so hyped. It's because everybody, including people that read the books, they don't have that to hold over us anymore. You know, it's very much like everybody's in the same boat. We have no idea what's going to happen. And I think that some of us are a little scared that we might not like it, but the show has gained so much goodwill over the years that I think a lot of us expect to be pleased by what happens, whatever it is.
Yeah, I trust them.
Yeah. I'm really excited that the show is ending, not because I don't like the show. I love the show. But I feel like someone like put the pacifier in the show's mouth last season, because last season was kind of like the build-up season, and there just weren't as many deaths as we needed to. The biggest one, I think, was Littlefinger, who was one of my personal favorite characters. And he kind of went out like a little bit of a wimp.
Right.
And he was kind of the only big name that I can at least remember, because I feel like they were saving a lot of the story ending arcs for this season. So I'm hoping that this season has a little bit of teeth and we get major deaths. Sometimes before or sometimes after people fulfill their character arcs. That's the really cool thing. Anybody can die at any moment, and I need to get back to that.
And I like that because season 7 was such a tease in that department. Like, there were so many chances where that could have happened. Jaime literally ends an episode, like, drowning in the water.
After a dragon attacked him.
After a dragon attacked him. 7 or 8 of the main characters are surrounded by White Walkers with, like, 5 minutes to go in the episode.
And the one with no name is the only one that died.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, they had so many opportunities to do what they've shown themselves to do in the past, which is take out major characters like their cereal mascots and, like, not important at all. I don't know why I went after cereal there, but you know what I mean.
Tony the Tiger's a little offended.
Yeah, screw that guy. But this is their chance to, and I don't want gratuitous deaths just for the sake of gratuitous deaths, but sacrifices will need to be made. Like, they have been building up this war for years now.
Winter's been coming since, what, 2011?
Yeah, something like that.
And now it's finally here. They said winter is here, which I kind of like that that's the ending of the show, winter's here. I actually think, a little bold prediction of mine, not that I think the White Walkers will win overall, but I think that 3rd episode is the one where it's the big White Walker battle, I think. My guess is that the White Walkers win that battle, and that's the one that makes everybody go, uh-oh, we're actually in trouble. The people in King's Landing who don't really care about it, I think that's the one that'll make them realize, because now the White Walkers are in their territory, killing people and winning battles with a dragon.
Right. I kind of like that because I can't really see the Lannisters jumping on board immediately with this. You know what I mean? It's very much a uneasy alliance, if there even is one right now. In the second act of any big action movie, the team usually needs to take an L before they get the W at the end.
Let's have Winterfell fall, baby.
Yeah, it happens in the original Avengers. It happens in Justice League, whatever we think about that movie. But those are prime examples. Things don't work out, usually. And it has to right the ship. That's a good one because I can see maybe Cersei coming to her senses, but in the end also being the devious bastard that she is, and that kind of doing her in at some point.
And then maybe Jaime's like, all right, screw you, we're all gonna die for your ignorance, and then kills her. Whoa!
Yeah, that's kind of what he kind of already stormed out on her, right?
Basically. I feel like Cersei is gonna just stick to her guns, stubborn as all hell, and just completely screw somebody over on her way out. I don't think she's gonna, like, turn to the quote-unquote good side. I don't think it's in the cards.
I don't know if I'd like that.
I don't think so either, because she's such a villain.
Yeah, I've hated her since season 1. And she's obviously had some great freaking moments on the show since, but I still hate her from season 1.
She's a top 5 character in my opinion.
Oh yeah, she's so well written.
Lena Headey does a tremendous job with her.
That's why she's one of the best acted characters.
Right, all the cast does a great job, but her especially.
The definition of conniving and, like, awful.
Right, like, think about what Cersei's been through, and the fact that we still hate her is so impressive. She had a whole season where her life was, like, destroyed.
Yeah, and as soon as we started to feel bad for her, we were like, never mind, you suck again.
Yeah, right. It was beautiful. I love it. Speaking of redemption arcs, though, Jaime has quickly become one of my favorite characters because of the opposite of that.
Yeah, who the hell predicted that?
Yeah.
Good writing and directing is what that is.
On the face of bold predictions here, obviously the two main players are Daenerys and Jon Snow. Is your fire and ice there? Obviously, they became a couple at the end here. And I'm not going to lie, I'm going to be really annoyed if they end up like happily ever after at the end of this. Even if it ends up being like a sad, bittersweet ending, but they're together, I'm going to be a little annoyed because that's not the Game of Thrones that we were introduced to. My bold prediction is that somehow Jon becomes like White Walkerized and someone needs to put him down.
Like the I Am Legend dog.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that it's not Daenerys, because honestly, like, they just met last season. I feel like it's not emotional enough of an impact if she takes him out, because, I only really knew you for 4 episodes, you know? I'm hoping it's Arya. That's my bold prediction.
Ooh, that would be interesting.
She has to make the choice of whether she wants to be a Stark and save her brother or spare her brother, or be the cold-hearted assassin that she trained for and then try to turn away from, you know?
And you know what? That could fit into mine. Maybe the Battle of Winterfell goes so poorly, even Jon loses. Like,
that
they all
crazy.
lose. Wow.
And that's such a subversion of expectations because they brought him back from the dead. He's the only character who got brought back from the dead just to die again.
Right. That all transitions really well into mine, which is that you expect, because they've been such the source of light in this series, you expect a Stark to survive. Do they kill every single Stark?
That would be heartbreaking for the fans, certainly.
Right. Like, would that be too much?
Ooh. Or alternatively, the Starks become like the next generation of White Walkers, and they kind of do like a, for lack of a better term, like a Matrix Reloaded reset, where there always needs to be some sort of White Walker balance in the North.
What if, and this is more allegorical, but what if the Starks by name survive, but they take over King's Landing and they become as cruel and merciless as the Lannisters were? And what if there's this kind of poignant message with power can corrupt anyone?
Maybe. I feel like that's hard to arc, because they never do time jumps in Game of Thrones, and there's obviously a first for anything.
Yeah, there was like one flashback in the entire thing.
But like, you need to show them getting cruel in some way, and I don't think you can do that if everything's happening in real time.
Although Arya is pretty ruthless right now, and Sansa seems to be not exactly great.
Sansa's the one that basically ordered the hit on Littlefinger. I mean...
Yeah, it's not set up.
It's all a matter of perspective, because we've been following them as the heroes, but to the Lannisters, they're the villains. You know what I mean? Like, it's all a matter of perspective, and there's the whole, I think, if you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention. Right. What if we've been paying attention to the wrong thing? I don't know. This is just like a 4 a.m. discussion. I don't really have a lot to back.
Before we get going, I don't know if this is totally accurate. Die-hard Game of Thrones fans could say it better. But I heard there was a prophecy where whoever gets the Iron Throne also has to kill their loved one in the process, which makes me think Jaime either kills Cersei and gets the throne, Jon kills Daenerys, gets the throne. Maybe like Nate said, Arya kills Jon in some way to get the throne, but I thought it was lover. Like, kills their lover and ends up on the throne.
Game of Thrones has a lot of weird prophecies. I'll throw a shout out to, I think it's Alt-Shift-X on YouTube. They do some really cool breakdowns of all of the book prophecies and how all the characters could tie into it. Like the Lord of Light prophecy that's been brought up a couple times in the show, and a lot of people predict that Jon is that person, born of ice and fire kind of thing. There's the theory that the witch told Cersei that Jaime is going to kill her.
Right, there was something like that.
When she thinks that it's Tyrion who's supposed to, because that's her other brother. There's a lot of really cool theories, and you could deep dive so easily to this. And we have no way of knowing how big or small the show writers are going to treat those kind of things.
And I think the three of us can only speak as film and TV fans. We can't speak as book fans, obviously.
Yeah, like Jake doesn't know how to read.
Yeah,
things have only been read to me over the last 8 years. I don't really...
There's no pictures in Game of Thrones, so...
I know.
But we can all speak to the remarkable durability that the series has as far as... Nate, you talked about it as the biggest TV event. I don't even think of it as a TV show. It's kind of weird because of just how cinematic it feels all the time.
We're getting 6 movies back-to-back every week for the month of April and May.
Which is awesome. And I'm very, very excited to see where everything turns out. I'm sure we'll have a lot of speculation. Maybe we should do something at the finale, kind of do a post-mortem for it. Just throwing it out there right now. But Game of Thrones returning soon. What a time to be a movie and TV fan. But we'll get to all that later. That'll do it for Lobby Talk this week. Let's move into our news segment.
And this just in, a Newsbreak special report.
This is breaking news. I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
We're going to jump in our time machine like we usually do with Freeze Frame and jump back to 2009. Do you guys remember 2009?
A little.
With horror.
Yeah, we were all freshmen in high school, so that was weird. What was high school?
I know what braces were.
Yeah, I do know what one thing was, though, and that's the movie Avatar. It was everywhere in 2009, bleeding into 2010. It is still worldwide the highest grossing movie of all time. It's been overtaken here in the United States, but still the highest grossing movie of all time. An original sci-fi movie. Remarkable that James Cameron was able to do that with 2 straight movies in a row. Can he go 3 for 3? That's the question, because Avatar 2, after 11 years in development now, it will finally be here next December. December 20th, 2020, we're finally supposed to get Avatar 2. We'll see if it actually happens, but it's possible. Cameron has been working on Avatar 2 now for the better part of this decade. He shot Avatar 2 and Avatar 3 back to back, so we'll get Avatar 3 in 2021. And then, I don't know if these are done deals or not, but Avatar 4 and 5 are supposed to shoot back to back and come in 2024 and 2025. Talk about ambitious.
So does anybody actually know what's happening?
No.
No.
I liked Avatar. I did. I'm having a problem remembering 2 like memorable scenes from it. Besides the love scene, I guess, where they touch tails.
Why is that the only thing you remember?
That's the part you remember?
Yeah, because that was that was the very memeable part, guys.
I got a therapist with your name on it.
Yeah. Anyway, the Avatar movies are about to get a lot more about family, guys, because Vin Diesel has been added to the film. He posted on Instagram him in the mocap studio with James Cameron. He has some kind of role in the Avatar sequel. He'll be joining most of the cast returning. Sam Worthington, who's just been waiting for this movie to happen, I feel like, for the better part of a decade.
Yeah. He's been watching his bank account slowly decrease, like, come on, come on.
Clash of the Titans only worked out a little bit, so he's in, like, the best 3D movie ever and the worst 3D movie ever. Sigourney Weaver is back in some kind of role.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. Zoe Saldana, of course, she's been doing fine. She doesn't need this, but I'm sure she'll take the free paycheck. Kate Winslet joins the cast. Cliff Curtis is in this one. Stephen Lang will somehow be back again. They're just bringing everybody back. It doesn't matter why or how.
We're going to tree heaven, I guess?
So, guys, I think the question I have, even more than the Vin Diesel news, because this just gives us an excuse to talk about Avatar. How much do you remember it, and are you... I know you don't have a list in front of you, but would this even make your top 10 most anticipated next year? Nate, go ahead.
Avatar was cool. Like, we did the whole 3D thing because that was the thing to do, is to see Avatar in 3D. That's when I realized I didn't like 3D. Because I still didn't like the experience. The thing about 3D is that if you aren't looking where the filmmaker wants you to look, everything looks blurry. And that's so distracting to me. Yeah. Anyway, Avatar. I enjoyed it. It was definitely creative, but it also didn't strike me as something that needed world building. Cameron obviously has some direction to go with it, and my speculation is that we'll look at other tribes or something on the planet, like completely different. Maybe we get like an underwater Avatar tribe. Who knows? Just to show off something
and
cool.
They have said, real quick, they have said that a lot of Avatar 2 will take place underwater.
Oh, well, that's awesome.
There you go. Perfect.
I totally pulled that out of my bum.
What a genius.
So I think just visually, it'll be cool. But, you know, it was also visually cool, but completely tone deaf story-wise was like that City of a Thousand Planets. What was it? Valerian? Something like that. It was a cool sci-fi project, but it was not a great movie. So if there's anyone to pull it off, it's probably James Cameron. But in terms of excitement, I'm a lukewarm pot of water here.
Oh, God. Somebody take the knife out of James Cameron's side, because that was a stab and a half. Ooh, the Valerian cut runs deep, folks. Oh, man. Jake, what about you? Are you going to make a Jupiter Ascending reference? Is that where we're going?
No, I would never go that bad. I'm not a fan of that movie at all. But I'm kind of with Nate on a few different reasons. I saw Avatar in theaters when it came out, and 13, 14-year-old me thought it was great. And then I have not seen it since. I never went back and revisited it. So I don't remember a whole lot about it. It was like the biggest like game-changing special effects and graphics and stuff like that, right? That's why it was so big?
It's hard to replicate again and talk about what that movie meant to visual effects and stuff like that, but it was way ahead of its time. It looked incredible, and it still looks great from what I've seen.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Right, so from that perspective, I doubt he's going to get there again. I think it's a little bit too late. It should have been a couple of years afterward, not 10 plus years later. I don't think it's going to have the same impact. On a bit of a different / same note, I don't know why people keep casting Vin Diesel in all these gigantic franchises. He's not anything special as an actor. Maybe it's unpopular opinion. I don't think he's a great actor by any means.
Well, also, think about what he has to do in the Marvel movies.
That's what I mean. There are other people who can do better acting jobs. I don't know why he keeps getting casted.
Wait. Tinfoil hat time really quick. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Tinfoil hat time. Oh, God.
Like, isn't Avatar owned by Disney now? Like, the Disney park has Avatar, right?
Yes.
Group crossover? I'm just throwing it out there.
Not impossible.
It's possible.
Well, that's one way to keep the MCU going.
All right, I'm sorry, Jake.
No, that's a great point. I'm glad you interrupted.
I don't know if I would call it a great point, but it was a point.
It's better than where I was going. All I'm going to say is I'm not particularly excited for this, not top 10 of whenever year this decides to come out. I think it's cool that they're going to go underwater and use mocap underwater. That's definitely cool. James Cameron returning is a good sign. Other than that, I'm kind of like, okay, they say they're going to release it in the next couple of years, and I will go see it, but I'm not eager for it. I'm honestly, if they decided to scrap it, I would also go, okay.
Yeah, same.
So
that's where I thought we were 3 years ago.
Right.
Exactly. This is mainly, it's way too late, and I can't imagine they have groundbreaking cinematic effects again to get people to go out and watch this and make, $2 billion. I just don't see it.
Just as a devil's advocate, I agree with you on that point, but he's done it twice now. So
yeah, so if he does it again, then, bravo. I will gladly have you prove me wrong, but I just don't see a need for this other than we need money again.
Right. Titanic to Avatar was 12 years, so this is actually a shorter layoff somehow. The thing that makes me annoyed about this is I wouldn't have a problem with an Avatar sequel. Like, of course they were going to make a sequel. Right. It makes complete... Like, there's no way this was going to be a standalone, given how great it did. But do I need 3 others after that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like, you're allowed to finish your trilogy. Okay, I'll even give you that one. But, like, why are we planning another back-to-back shoot? Like, what possible story could be building here that I need to be excited for? And the thing that makes me annoyed about this is that this is wasting years of James Cameron. One of the visionary directors of our era has only made 2 movies in 20 years. And I mean, he's put his name in producing credits, and Alita Battle Angel definitely had a lot of his influence on it. But I don't need this from him. I want something else, Like, I want, like, a Terminator 2, and I want, like, an Aliens, and I know I'm listing sequels, and I'm not helping myself. But, like, you guys understand what I'm trying to say. Like, I'd rather him made 2 or 3 movies by now than just wait for a movie that will probably not even top the first one. It's not worth all this.
I agree.
It's really not.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement, but I will be the first one to splice in our comments here. We eventually review Avatar 2 and it blows us all away.
Yeah.
Please, I'm all for being proven wrong if it's for something like that, like a good reason.
Absolutely. Speaking of things that I think we all hope to be proven wrong about, let's kind of transition into our next story here. Guys, public domain is awesome for movie studios. If you don't know what I'm referring to, Disney owns Marvel. Warner Brothers owns Harry Potter and DC. These are properties that are owned by companies. No other companies can make those movies. Public domain is different. There are some stories throughout history, fairy tales, different classic stories that are just out in the open. Anybody can make a movie about them at any point, any studio. 2 of those public domains that are very popular and have a lot of movies made about them are Alice in Wonderland and The Wizard of Oz. The last time we saw Alice in Wonderland on the big screen was Alice Through the Looking Glass, the not directed by Tim Burton's shockingly sequel to a Tim Burton movie that everybody forgot about until I just said it right now. 2 very popular stories, and we are going to see them cross over because that's allowed. Netflix has hired Anna Klassen, who is a well-regarded writer. She's had scripts on the Blacklist before, which are the most attentive, wanted scripts in Hollywood. She is writing Dorothy and Alice, which will follow Dorothy Gale as she's sent to a home for girls experiencing troubling nightmares, where she meets Alice, who I guess is also experiencing troubling nightmares.
Right.
Oh, no.
Right off the bat, that's all I got for you, Jake. Run with that.
Yeah, so what do we talk about now? It's just, it sounds ridiculous. They're going to cross over Alice in Wonderland and The Wizard of Oz, which I don't know. I guess they both took too much LSD in their prime. Now they're in a home. I don't really know where to go with this either.
All right, I'll be the crazy tinfoil hat guy for this whole episode, I think.
Oh my God, how many tinfoil hats do you have?
He's got it prepared.
Hear me out. Hear me out. You have the 4 witches in the Wizard of Oz, north, south, east, west, right? And then you have your queen in Alice in Wonderland, where you have the Queen of Hearts. What if there's also queens of the other suits of cards? Spades, diamonds, hearts, and clubs. What if there's like some weird mastermind nightmare guy who shows people different realities, but they all end up being the same characters? And like the Wicked Witch of the West is the Queen of Hearts, and the 2 main characters are just seeing different realities and they all converge.
Nate, when's the last time you've slept?
It might have been a little bit less than I should have.
Are you sweating? He's sweating, folks. You can't see it, but it's a fever dream.
We're all bugging today. The 3 of us all have something off today. As far as this goes, surface level, it sounds pretty disastrous. Truthfully, it just doesn't sound like any crossover that we need. The Alice in Wonderland movies haven't worked in a long time. The only Wizard of Oz that worked was the original. What makes us think that crossing them over is going to work? Even if you got a great screenwriter. Plenty of great screenwriters fail. And Netflix originals are kind of hit and miss also. A lot of their original TV shows work. Not all of their original movies work.
I'll push back a little bit, Jake. I feel like this could work, and I'd appreciate this type of project being worked on as opposed to, say, another Robin Hood origin story, you know?
I agree with you there.
They're just rehashing the same story over and over again. This is at least a very novel concept.
Y'all are hypocrites. You don't watch any of those. I have to sit through them.
Well, when they get a 12 on Metascore and a 2 on Rotten Tomatoes, you're right. I sit them out.
And I put my hands together and go,
Yeah, Andrew's like, I love pain, and goes to see them.
It keeps me alive. Yeah. You know what this sounds like to me? Well, I don't know why I'm thinking of this, but this sounds like fairy tale version of New Mutants. like a movie they can't even get released right now. Like characters locked up together. You know what it sounds like? Guys, it sounds like Sucker Punch.
I was just about to bring that up if you didn't.
Yo.
I saw where your brain was firing there.
Yo, I can't do this, guys. I can't do another one.
Imagine he directs this. Zack Snyder is he, for those not informed.
Oh, God. All right, we're moving on before more bad ideas are said on mic. Speaking of things we thought were bad ideas, but might actually be a good idea. You never know. We'll talk about it. You don't know our lives. Here is the trailer for Warner Brothers' Joker.
My mother always tells me to smile and put on a happy face. Is it just me? Or is it getting crazier out there?
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile. You find that life is still worthwhile.
Gotham has lost its way.
I used to think that my life was a tragedy, but now I realize it's a comedy.
If you just smile.
That was a snippet of the trailer of Joker, directed by Todd Phillips, who, of course, did the Hangover trilogy, Old School, War Dogs. Definitely a very different change of pace for him. Stars Joaquin Phoenix as a guy named Arthur, who, throughout time, kind of grows into being the clown prince that we all know and love that will eventually fight Batman one day. It's a Joker origin story, basically, which, when you say it like that, doesn't sound very appealing. But this movie also has Robert De Niro. It's executive produced by Martin Scorsese. It has Domino, Zazie Beetz from Deadpool 2. She's in this. It will be opening in that Venom slot from last year, early October. Nate, thoughts on the trailer?
It's such a weird concept. Like, I don't think anybody would tell you we want a Joker origin story. And this one definitely looks very art house-esque. Like, very much a Joaquin Phoenix type of project. And I hope this isn't true, but just on the surface here, it kind of just looks like a weird story about mental health that just happens to feature the Joker, you know? And I'm hoping that it goes a little deeper than that, and the filmmakers aren't just saying, all right, they want us to make a Joker movie, we're going to throw that little bit at the end there, but it's not going to be really about the Joker, it's going to be about this Arthur character. But in the right hands, it could work, and Joaquin Phoenix is super talented. So, yeah, I'm definitely intrigued, probably more intrigued than I was when we first talked about this project, but I'm not sold for sure. It just looks very odd.
Yeah, that's a good word for it, because I don't think anybody expected it to look like this when they first announced it. Maybe when you found out Joaquin was involved and that Scorsese was involved in some way. But when I think of Joker origin, I was afraid that we would get like the hunka Jared Leto Joker origin, you know what I mean, where it's all stylized and everything like that. But it's very different in that regard. Jake, what are your preliminary thoughts?
Well, I've been pretty negative and skeptical on this from the gun, especially because they said they were going to do this as well as a Harley Quinn Joker movie with Jared Leto, followed by a Jared Leto alone Joker movie. And I would kind of like, nobody has any idea what they're doing. So I've been very skeptical. The one positive thing I have said is that they got Joaquin to play him, which I pretty much think you can't do any better. Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker sounds as pretty much as good as it's going to get. But I actually do kind of like the trailer. I think if you're going to do this, and it sounds like they're completely separate from Suicide Squad and Batman vs. Superman, which, praise, hell yeah. If they're going to do this, it should be kind of like what the footage shows. You know, more, like Nate was saying, a little art house, seemingly dark, definitely more drama, not so much, you know, in your face, like not like your typical superhero movie, almost like what Logan was. If you're going to do a Joker movie and get it right, this kind of looks like, at least for me, the version that I would want. Joaquin Phoenix, excellent, and just a dark tale of what looks like a guy just descending into madness over the events of his life until he eventually reaches a breaking point and is officially stone cold psycho killer, which is kind of what I would hope for. I hope they leave Batman more or less out of it. I know he's at least a small part in there. Somebody's cast as a Wayne family member somewhere, but I hope it's more or less really just him and doesn't have too much to do with the superheroes. Really just watching this guy lose his mind. I would be okay with that if they could do it that way and get it right.
It seems like it's a Joker movie only in name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I actually would probably prefer that. It kind of makes me annoyed about the cynicism of Hollywood that this might be what it takes to see Joaquin Phoenix play this huge character persona. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this should get the same attention as something as a You Were Never Really Here, which came out last year, or anything Joaquin Phoenix has done, because he's probably, if not the most talented actor working today, at least top 5.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
I kind of echo what Jake said there, where I don't like the idea of learning the origin of a character whose mystery is his most interesting element, but I also really like the idea of a character study of somebody just losing their mind. Like, those movies really work out a lot of the time, and obviously Scorsese's had a couple of them, where it's, you know, whether it's Taxi Driver or Kings of Comedy is the one everybody talks about. I've never seen it, but I know there's a lot of parallels in between those movies. There's even a little bit of Nicholson in The Shining, it seems like, here. It's a good teaser. It does what it needs to do. It establishes the tone. But Nate, I think you're right. I would not be surprised if that shot in the elevator is the very last shot of this movie. And that is the moment he embraces being the Joker. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm setting myself up for that, even if I don't know if that's a great idea or not.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I think we've all said on mic that we're okay with DC just doing one-off what-if movies as just like a cool, unique direction that DC can take to try to counter-program the Marvel universe that they just can't seem to pull together. So even if this is not related to anything else that the DC EU ever does, I think it's a worthy project. We'll just have to see if it's any good.
All right. October 4th, we'll be able to make our decision on Joker. That'll do it for our news segment. That's it for now here on the Middle Seats podcast. If you're looking for our review of Shazam, keep an eye out. And keep that seat warm, everyone. We'll be back soon.